Welcome back to Montreal Now with Day and Delmar. It's time for Business Brief with Amanda Lang. She is host of Taking Stock, which airs Friday evenings at 6 on BNN Bloomberg and on the iHeartRadio network. And we take a look at the big business stories of the week. Amanda, let's start in Toronto. Condo rents are just soaring. And I'm wondering is there a ceiling on how high they can get?
It's a good question because we, of course, have seen them so high. And as rates have gone up, we've also seen that folks that own these to rent them out, in other words, investors, are actually underwater. And that's true in Montreal as well. And in the big kind of urban centers where we've seen these high prices, no sign of them stopping. We now have an average just under $3,000 a month in Toronto, even for really, really tiny ones, what they call micro apartments. You can find those for about $2,100, more than $2,000 a month. So a bit of a crazy market. What exactly is a micro apartment? What can you find in that? Good question. Technically, it's anything under 600 square feet. Anybody who's in the Toronto market will tell you that's pretty normal, actually. They go as low as 300 square feet. So you're talking about your kind of studio-sized apartment, very, very small. And to have them at this price is extraordinary. Oh, that's wild. We also have a report about parents being concerned over their kids' financial future. 58% of Canadian parents are concerned. And my question is, what about the other 42%? Are they not worried as well? That's a really good question. Always good to kind of ask the obvious here. TD Bank did this survey. And yeah, so more than half are worried. And I think you're actually raising a really important question because the truth is that the way our economy is going, a lot of us will leave our children worse off, just in the sense that they have less opportunity than the previous generation did. Our kind of per capita economic GDP is not as strong as it was in the previous generation. So the concern is real. High prices, the housing market would be very much top of mind for a lot of parents, right? They worry about their kids ever getting into this market. So I think you're asking the relevant question, which is that's actually a reasonable number given all those facts that feel okay about their kids' financial future. Maybe there's a glass half full here. It feels like that we're in uncharted territory because there's always this expectation that the next generation will do better unless we have some mitigating factor like a personal crisis. Do you think we're actually moving away from that idea that your kids and your grandkids will do better than you? Like it's not an assumption. And we have actually. We're currently in a generation that isn't doing as well as their parents. So the boomers were sort of the last generation that could 100% be sure of that. Gen X is kind of borderline. After that, it's done. So the question is, can we turn it around? And there's a few factors in that. Obviously, the rising cost of living is one of them, but it really does go more to Canada's productivity. I mean, productivity is one of those weird remote subjects that people feel, what on earth does it have to do with me? Our collective productivity being low means we are getting poorer over time and our kids have less to work with. So it is a pretty serious issue. It's one we have to figure out. We haven't done a great job at it. It's a decades-old problem. Business Brief with Amanda Lang, host of Taking Stock, airing tonight at 6. So Canadians lead the world when it comes to remote work. I was fascinated to find this out. On average, Canadians are working 1.7 days a week from home. And that's actually ahead of the U.S., which is at 1.4. But it's interesting that we're concerned about what that means for, I guess, business real estate and not just worker welfare. Yeah, I was actually, I don't know about you, but I found that a low number given the kind of the mind share and the attention we pay to work from home. 1.7 doesn't seem like that much. I guess it's almost 20%. But it is enough, to your point, to change the way people think about their office space and who's in. It could also be a case, as is so often true, where a small group is actually taking up a lot of the attention and chit-chat here. And most people have to be back at the office. And that's been true right through pandemic. The whole work from home conversation, of course, doesn't touch a lot of jobs. People just have, if you're a nurse, you're going to work. And so maybe it's just not the phenomenon we thought. It's definitely interesting to see the U.S. is, just below us, but other places like in Asia are below 1. They're sort of 0.6, 0.7 days per week. So maybe we're not as bad off as we thought about working from home. I guess we're also, for a lot of us, a lot more cautious, but also unwilling to give up the comforts of home. We also have Elon Musk taking over Twitter, and this is a really fascinating report, kind of solidifying what some people have been talking about, which is it doesn't feel like a safe, friendly, happy place to be around so much. I mean, that's not everyone saying that, but that's a feeling I've heard. How is Twitter addressing this particular report? Well, they're working hard to try to bring advertisers back because that's the big issue for them. Ad sales are down by half since Musk acquired Twitter. And a lot of that has to do with the perception. Whether it's reality or not is another question, but the perception that there's more hateful content, that there's more hateful content allowed. And of course, advertisers don't want their branding to be side by side with something that they don't want to associate with. So when they feel like they've lost control of that, they just withdraw. Can they win them back is a big question. Twitter is sort of putting forth some data that show that actually hate speech is under control on Twitter. It's just not the perception out there by users or by the ad community. So the real question is whether they can kind of sell that message and that story and win people back.
Yeah, it's not actually what are the numbers of hate speech that we're seeing in terms of comments, but it's also just the feeling and that perception matters as well, even if it's not reality. Mm-hmm. The last thing I wanted to ask you about, Amanda, is the business of Barbie. I'm just curious to know if you've been following all the chatter about the release of the Barbie film because it's had so many marketing tie-ins and it could be really making a lot of money at the box office this weekend.
Yeah, it's interesting to see a kind of a classic blockbuster feeling back with us. You know, it's been so long since we've had one of those, and that it, of course, is coming at the same time as another blockbuster, Oppenheimer, and that people are actually going to see both. I think it's hysterical, but it's great and very healthy, obviously, for the whole the distribution community. So Cineplex will do well in Canada. And as well, of course, for all of the content producers, and hopefully people actually go out and see this in person because that's important for everybody in that supply chain that we get back into theaters. Are
you going to be seeing one of them this weekend?
I definitely want to see. I won't see either this weekend because I'm tied up. But I want to see Oppenheimer at the first chance I get. I'm not going to lie. I'll probably see Barbie at some point.
Same. I'm really excited for Oppenheimer. I know you're a busy person, so thank you so much for taking the time, Amanda.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks.
That is Amanda Lang, host of Taking Stock, airing tonight at 6 o'clock on BNN Bloomberg and on the iHeartRadio network. That's been our Business Brief.